Imagine a man standing before a jury of 500. His life hangs in the balance. He's been accused of corrupting the youth and dishonoring the gods. He can save himself with a few flattering words, perhaps even by begging for mercy. But instead, he calmly accepts the verdict, drinks poison, and dies, utterly at peace. What kind of person chooses death over dishonor? What did Socrates know that made him value the soul above the body, even in the face of death? Welcome to the Unfolding Journey, a space where we explore timeless wisdom, ancient philosophy, and the ideas that shape the human spirit. Whether you're here for reflection, learning, or to nourish your inner self, you've just stepped into a place where thought meets transformation. In the annals of Western philosophy, few names echo as loudly as Socrates, the enigmatic Athenian thinker who never wrote a single word, yet whose ideas reshaped civilization. Much of what we know of him comes from the writings of his student Plato, who immortalized Socrates through dialogues that continue to challenge and inspire to this day. At the heart of Socratic thought lies a radical proposition. It is not life, but a good life that is to be chiefly valued. And for Socrates, a good life wasn't about wealth, fame, or physical well-being. It was about the state of the soul. The trial of Socrates, body versus soul. Let's return to that courtroom in 399 BCE. Socrates had been charged with impiety and corrupting the youth of Athens. The court found him guilty, and he was sentenced to death. Yet Socrates didn't flee the city or beg for exile. Instead, he chose to drink the hemlock and die. Why? Because to escape death by compromising his principles would be to wound his soul. And to Socrates, no physical suffering, not even death, could compare to the harm done by acting unjustly. This is the core of his teaching. Better to suffer wrong than to do wrong. This is a staggering idea. It flips the human instinct on its head. Most of us avoid pain at all costs. We strive for comfort, for safety, for survival. But Socrates teaches that true suffering is not in the body, but in the soul corrupted by wrongdoing. In Socratic philosophy, the soul is the essence of a person, the seat of reason, morality, and identity. It's not just a mystical idea, but a practical one. For Socrates, the soul is what governs our actions, our values, and our capacity for virtue. To neglect the soul is to live in ignorance. To care for it is the highest form of wisdom. This care of the soul is achieved through constant examination, a life of inquiry, self-questioning, and moral reflection. That's why Socrates famously declared, "The unexamined life is not worth living." This wasn't a poetic flourish. It was a principle he held so dearly that he chose death over betraying it. Socrates believed that virtue is the health of the soul, just as food and exercise are the health of the body. And just as we avoid things that harm our physical body, we should avoid actions that harm the soul, such as lying, cheating, greed, or cruelty. To Socrates, the soul thrives on justice, truth, courage, and self-control. And so, just as we might endure the pain of a difficult surgery to restore our physical health, Socrates would endure any hardship if it meant preserving the integrity of his soul. Even death. We often think of suffering as something to be avoided. Physical pain, emotional anguish, or discomfort. These are seen as bad in and of themselves. But Socrates challenges this notion. He teaches that suffering is only truly harmful when it corrupts the soul. Imagine being imprisoned unjustly. The body suffers, but if your response is dignified, truthful, and virtuous, your soul remains intact or even strengthened. Now imagine the reverse. Lying, stealing, or harming others to avoid suffering. In that case, you may preserve the body, but at the cost of your soul. For Socrates, this is the ultimate failure. Socrates also believed that no one does wrong knowingly. In his view, all wrongdoing stems from ignorance. If someone truly understood what was right and good, they would do it. This is because knowledge and virtue are intertwined. To know the good is to do the good. This idea is both empowering and challenging. It suggests that the path to virtue isn't about willpower alone, but about seeking wisdom, learning, examining, asking hard questions. Socrates devoted his life to this pursuit, walking the streets of Athens, asking everyone, from poets to politicians, what they knew about justice, love, and truth. Often, he exposed their ignorance. But this wasn't cruelty, it was a call to wake up, a call to care for the soul. Socrates' attitude towards suffering wasn't about stoic detachment or blind endurance. Instead, he saw suffering as an opportunity for moral clarity. Pain strips away illusion. It reveals what we truly value. When the comforts of life are taken from us, when our reputation, our health, or our freedom are on the line, we discover what lies at the core of our being. And for Socrates, that core should be virtue. So, suffering isn't the enemy. Moral cowardice is. The body may ache, but if the soul remains upright, we are truly free. Now, you might wonder, what does all this mean for us 2,400 years later? We live in a world that prizes appearance, performance, and physical well-being. We're taught to avoid pain, to hustle for success, to win at all costs. But Socrates whispers across the centuries, care first for your soul. This doesn't mean neglecting the body or abandoning ambition. It means grounding your life in virtue, in honesty, justice, courage, and wisdom. It means asking not, how can I avoid suffering? But instead, what kind of person will I be when suffering comes? Because come it will. In the end, Socrates teaches us that while we can't always control what happens to the body, we can always choose how we respond. This is the soul's great power. No tyrant, no illness, no loss can take away your integrity unless you surrender it. In a world filled with uncertainty, this is a radical kind of freedom. The freedom to live by truth, even if it costs you everything. Socrates died, but his soul, his inner virtue, remained unbroken. In choosing death over dishonor, he left us with a living legacy. That the health of the soul matters more than the suffering of the body. That it is better to suffer for truth than to live for a lie. That in a world full of noise, virtue is the only true compass. So, as we move through our own lives, may we not merely seek comfort or success, but wisdom. And may we, like Socrates, learn to live from the inside out. If you found meaning in this reflection on Socrates and the soul, consider joining us on this philosophical journey. Backhand index pointing right, subscribe to The Unfolding Journey for more explorations into ancient wisdom, timeless truths, and the art of living deeply. Don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment with your thoughts. What does virtue mean to you? How do you care for your soul in difficult times? Until next time, keep questioning, keep seeking, and keep unfolding.